Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we got a new video for you guys. The biggest thing, does your page look like this where you struggle and you're looking for advice on how to unlock a new legend? Well, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to list through the pros and cons of unlocking each of these legends and help you make a decision on what to unlock and do my best to put an order based on the role, based on attacking, based on whether defensive and recon, and give you the best advice as humanly possible on what legend you should unlock next. So I'm going to break that down in the test range, go through abilities, and really break this down for you guys. Okay everybody, so now let's get into discussing each of the legends. So as discussed, what we're going to break down here is we're going to go through the list of legends that you should unlock and the order, and I'm going to give a breakdown of the pros and cons. Now keep in mind, as I break down pros and cons, it's 100% okay if you change this order depending on your level of comfort with the game, with first-person shooters, and just how comfortable you are with using abilities. So let's start with attacking first, then we're going to go into more defensive. I'm fully aware that Loba obviously is listed as a healer and Crypt is listed as a recon, but to simplify this order, I'm going to go simply based on legends who are more offensive and legends who are more defensive. So depending on your playstyle, if you're more of a support player and want to play more defensively, if you want to be more on the attack, you can make a more informed decision. So again, let's start with attacking, and I will have timestamps available for you guys. So first off, the best one I can recommend is Octane for starting off offensively. The reason for that is obviously because he kind of gets a speed boost, so it kind of gives you more comfort level, and obviously afterwards you can spend a little bit more time in zone, and the buff that he has based on his heal is passive, kind of giving newcomers pretty comfortable in terms of getting into an engagement. Plus, if you want to just kind of barrel on in and kind of jump around, get used to movement while in air, his ult is very, very comfortable. So he's a great legend to honestly kind of start with and kind of get your feet wet, especially in Apex Legends. So next on the list that you should unlock if you're attacking would be Revenant. So the reason why I recommend Revenant is not mostly because of his abilities, but because his ultimate gives you the ability to learn how to push and attack. I feel like a lot of new players when they come to the game don't necessarily know how to take an encounter, and the beauty behind that is that once you utilize his ultimate, you're pretty much free to go do some damage. So once you go do some damage, after your ult wears off and you die, you get sent right back to the totem. So if you're still learning the game, and you're failing every time you push as a team, and you're feeling really uncomfortable, this is a great legend to utilize to learn how to push. I feel like this is definitely underrated and not utilized by enough newcomers in the game, and realizing how much they can learn, especially once it sends you back. So here in a second it's going to send me, or it'll obviously wear out, but once you die, it sends you back. So that's the biggest thing and the most important thing to really notate with Revenant. Obviously he has a silence. For newcomers, obviously this is going to be a lot harder to utilize, but it does do a little bit of damage, especially when you're right off the rip and you're jumping in. That can definitely help you. The downside to Revenant as well is that if you love to wall bounce and you're trying to learn how to wall bounce, is that his wall bounce is not as impressive as other legends. We definitely have a guide where we cover this, that we go further in length. You can still do it, obviously, as you can see, but bigger breakdown there for you guys. Now next on the list if you're attacking is I recommend utilizing Horizon. The reason why I recommend utilizing Horizon next on the attackers list is that she gives you a lot of verticality for unlock. So keep in mind again, this is unlock order, not necessarily meta order. I'm just giving you a list of what order you should break down depending on your comfort level with the game. You can definitely boost her up much higher if you are comfortable with pushes and you're comfortable with first-person shooters. The reason why I put her further down the list is that her verticality, especially for newcomers, can be very overwhelming. So let's say you're jumping around trying to do 360s for a newcomer, that can definitely be quite daunting. And if you know how to wall bounce and maybe a little bit more advanced, obviously unlocking her is kind of key, because as you can tell compared to Revenant, she definitely has a nice wall bounce, and this is because of her passive. Of course you can wall bounce just equally as well as others, but because her passive, just as an FYI, increased air control and reduced fall impacts from Horizon, the increased air control definitely gives you a bit more mobility of where to move when you're wall bouncing. Just as a quick FYI, definitely have a video on wall bouncing, definitely recommend checking that out, but in terms of order, this is number 3 in terms of unlock. Now, let's go to our boy Mirage.
Mirage to the rescue.
The reason why Mirage is not higher on this list is partly because, while his Q is monumental, for a newcomer, controlling yourself, let alone another user to kind of bamboozle, can be very daunting, and I definitely can understand that. So that's why he's not higher on the list. You can definitely replace him with Horizon, or if you want to, if you're very comfortable with hitting keybinds and abilities, if you come from Overwatch, this is definitely a fun legend to utilize. Obviously, he's not going to be as meta as Wraith, but if you're looking for just a bit of something to kind of switch things up to get comfortable, this is fun to utilize. You know, you can obviously just kind of shoot him out.
This place needs a little more
don't have to worry about the control. But nonetheless, he's very popular, especially on console. He's definitely been utilized in comp before. If you watch my coverage of APAC North, there was a Mirage that was definitely utilized, and ALGS, which is phenomenal to see, especially at that tier level. So now, next legend up, let's talk about Crypto. The reason why I have him so low on this list is not because he's not good. It's mostly because if you're new to Apex, he's probably the most overwhelming to utilize because he's got a drone. So if you're not comfortable with abilities at all, controlling your legend, let alone controlling a whole bot itself and knowing when to recall it, when to bring it back, when to utilize it, can be pretty daunting. But as you learn how to play as an attacker and you start to play for the squad, Crypto can be a massive benefit. I definitely saw him utilized quite a bit on APAC North. I know he wasn't utilized at all in APAC South or any other tournament and finals or anything, but he's definitely a great legend to utilize and get comfortable with. And his ult can definitely bring up some massive openings to do a lot of damage. So much like Revenant, I put him on the offensive list. He's not really an offensive player, more of a recon player, but I have him on the bottom just because he's can be a little hard to utilize. So based on this list again, so we cover it, we have the first level unlock would be Octane, then Revenant, then Horizon, then Mirage, then Crypto. So that's the order that I would highly recommend for newcomers coming to the game. So based on my explanation, if you're more of an intermediate, more of an advanced, seeing the legend in play and kind of talking about what may fit your play style can help me make a decision based on what you should unlock next. So now we're going to cover the defensive portion of what you should unlock. So let's say you're more of a support player. Let's say you may not want to get necessarily right into the fight, but you want to talk about what to utilize defensively. So the one that translates the most that you get unlocked at the beginning is Gibraltar. So the reason why I'm going to recommend Caustic next is that yes, he's a big boy, but he does take less damage. So as a newcomer to Apex, if you're new to the game, Caustic is really not a bad option comparatively to obviously to Caustic, because obviously he takes less damage because he's got Fortified, so he takes 15% less damage, and you know, doesn't get slowed by bullets. So the biggest thing is obviously his area denial, which is pretty massive and monumental, is that if you're really feeling uncomfortable with individuals pushing you and you're still learning the game and feeling really uncomfortable, Caustic's barrels, even at a pro level, are very, very, very annoying. Even I, as an individual, will not push a building if there's Caustic traps in play. Nobody will. On APAC North, we saw a lot of Caustics, and it made a big difference in the tournament. On APAC South, everyone kind of stuck to Bloodhound, Gibraltar, and Wraith. But nonetheless, gives you, and also his ult is just really, really annoying. So if you're really new to the game and you're looking to frustrate pro players, I mean, I hate to throw myself under the bus here, but he's definitely a fantastic legend for stopping pushes. Next on the list, I know she's listed as a healer,
I couldn't leave so
but if you're
many
playing more of a
treasures
support,
behind.
Loba's a great legend to pick. Now the reason why she's so good to pick is not because of her tactical ability, it's because if you're new to the game and you're trying to get more comfortable with looting, her ultimate obviously gives you the massive benefit. Obviously she has kind of a bit of an out, obviously, with using her ult, and I've covered that in how to best practice Apex Legends, and I kind of talk more in depth, and I can definitely put a guide together if you like. So leave a like if you believe that's going to help you out. But nonetheless, what really helps her out is her ultimate. So if you're new to the game, you're not used to looting, this definitely helps you out because you get unlimited ammo, pretty much. You can just keep spamming, you know, just grab all the loot in the general vicinity that's there. And it's like having unlimited ammo for the most part. Obviously, you drop it, you can grab more. So if you're new to the game, that definitely helps out. But again, it's definitely an ability you have to keep in mind. It's on a cooldown timer of 90 seconds. It definitely pops up very quickly. So definitely recommend unlocking Loba next after you unlock Caustic. Now, if you really just don't like the big boys, then go straight to Loba as a support character if you're learning the game. Now next, the reason why I have Watson in number 3 is that I understand, and I have a video on this on the channel actually of how to fence, how to do it. And I know I triggered people last time by using the rest station. You'll look in the video in the comments, everyone was like, why didn't you use accelerant? So I'm using it right now. I'm going to show you. So obviously, if you utilize our fences, this is, for somebody new to the game, I understand that this can be very, and I used the word in the prior video, very daunting to utilize. And it definitely takes a bit of practice to utilize her fences and understand it. Well, she's not necessarily as meta as she used to be, which is why I don't have her higher listed up on the list to unlock at the moment. Because in competitive play, especially as we saw APAC North, South, and even just NA and Europe, we definitely saw a lot less Watsons in play. So she's not necessarily the biggest mandatory to unlock as she was before. I really hope that she gets some love, maybe a buff, maybe make her a little bit more offensive, because I love Watson. I have nearly over 9,000 kills on her. So she's a lot of fun. I definitely put up a guide on how to fence, how do you fence up a building. She's a blast. I still enjoy utilizing her to this date. So let's move on. Next on the list is going to be Rampart.
Yep, I'm here.
Now, out of all the legends,
questions?
I recommend unlocking Rampart at the very, 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 very end. So let's say you're a support player, you've already unlocked Watson, you've already unlocked Caustic, you've already unlocked Loba. Rampart is a legend that you pick that you're just looking for variety to kind of switch things up for the memes. No offense to Rampart, but as of date, and I hope, and she's gonna get buffed. It has been mentioned before that she's gonna get a little love. Is that because Watson is a lot more viable of a character, I definitely recommend, and I was just trying to show the extra damage as I'm commentating and talking, is that she does get extra damage from walls, is that she's helpful, but there's a lot of other legends you can unlock that are going to help you learn and adjust to the game compared to Rampart. Rampart just needs a bit more love and a buff. While her ultimate is definitely useful, it takes a lot of time to currently ramp up, no pun intended in terms of Rampart, and it only goes into a 180 cone, which can be very difficult to really capitalize, especially if you're playing against a Revenant. Any other character that we've listed and they're utilizing their utility properly, then you're definitely going to struggle. So again, let us just recap right from the beginning, from the top on a list of what you should utilize. So defensively, Caustic is going to be first, then Loba, then Watson, then Rampart. So that's your defensive. If you're a support kind of player and that's kind of your vibe, that's what you're looking at, this is going to be the best unlock level for you guys. Now again, let's go through the full order from attacking and defensive again, just as a reminder for the end of the video. And again, if you enjoyed, if this was helpful for newcomers, for even for those that maybe have just not unlocked all the legends and just kind of wanted a quick insight on them, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. So again, attacking order is going to be Octane first. Awesome. Definitely great for newcomers, doesn't lose any damage, doesn't take any reduced damage. The next is going to be Revenant. Notice that he doesn't take any reduced damage either from the attacking side. Then Horizon, no damage reduction either, which is helpful. Same for Mirage, and the same for Crypto. So overall pretty good on the attacking end for legends. You know, unlike Wraith and other individuals where they take more damage, can definitely be a little harder for newcomers, so that's understandable. Now for the defensive side, we just mentioned it, but again, Caustic actually takes damage reduction compared to Wraith, which takes more damage. So damage reduction, which is great for new players. Loba, obviously next for looting because of her black market boutique. And then Watson, definitely helpful. But the issue is that she takes more damage. She actually takes more damage, very much like Wraith. So that's something to be mindful of. And then, of course, at the very end of the list is Rampart. Even if you're attacking or defensive, I would unlock Rampart at the very, 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 very tail end. She just offers a less amount of utility, especially for newcomers. And I don't want to have you guys feel deterred in the game. And I feel like once she gets a buff, then obviously you revisit this list and kind of prioritize her based on what you feel comfortable with in terms of support play. I would actually raise her above Watson if she were to get a massive buff for newcomers, just because Watson fences can be very... It's something you have to get used to in the game, and it probably takes a little bit more time to understand where to place your fences and how to stop an attack. But again, hope you guys found this video helpful. I really appreciate all of you guys' support on the channel. Going to be putting up more guides like this to help you guys learn about Apex Legends. We cover a lot. We actually were casting over the weekend. We have a lot of guides on the channel. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Must go faster.